Good morning. Welcome to the Standing Committee's meeting for Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. All council meetings will be live streamed on the city's website, and for guest speakers, please do not turn off your microphones. Our first order of business is roll call. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Mr. Charland, Mr. Coghill, Ms. Gross, Mr. Lavelle.
Here.
Mr. Mosley.
Here.
Mrs. Salinetro.
Here.
Mrs. Warwick. Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mrs. Strasburger, Chair.
Here.
5 members present.
Thank you. Our next order of business is public comment. I would like to remind all speakers that the rules of council state that comments are limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before city council. Profanity will not be permitted. Please state your name and neighborhood for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Our first registered speaker is Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller.
Dr. Ronald N. Miller, Pittsburgh, Knoxville neighborhood. Call attention to the Three Rivers Native American Council Center there. I'm a Global Intelligence Society candidate for President, United States, 2028 ACE. I'm committed with this council to the continued actualization of an affirmation of diversity and inclusivity in our people. Yesterday, my public comment focused on the contribution to the genetic diversity of our country and city by Laotians and Indigenous Americans, and today I focus on the religious diversity of Laotians in the city and elsewhere in the United States, and Indigenous Americans in relation particularly to artificial intelligence and quantum computing, QC. The general cultural codal universality of the Indigenous American and Laotian ultimate value systems codes, in my view, relativizes the sociality, the social applicability of any artificial intelligence entity. AI and QC fusion is a primary scientific and military objective, but this can't be done very easily because quantum computing has a problem, and that is that superposition is not retained properly between attoseconds, which is 1/quintillionth of a second, and microseconds, which is 1/millionth of a second. Indigenous Americans, in their religious cultures, though, have a version of topological information braiding, which is necessary for that type of superposition to be retained, and of individual self-control and self-correction. Self-correction in the program of quantum computing has been inserted by Google Willow in particular. And thirdly, of cold. 273 degrees C is what is now operationally the goal for QC in our advanced systems across the United States and including at Carnegie Mellon University.
Thank you. Our next registered speaker is Chief Ikahana Halmakina. Chief, we see you off mute. You can begin when you're ready. Okay, if you're speaking,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you, yes.
Oh, great.
Greetings and good day. My title is Chief Ikahana Howell McKenna. I'm the Grand Inca of the Iroquois Confederacy of Aboriginal American People. The issue of violence is not an external issue. It's an internal moral issue that has been festering for over 20 years now. It started with a cultural misunderstanding. You see, some cultural systems, customs, and traditions were meant to stay in place. The violence that you see in our youth today is a direct result of outside influence by social service agents, institutions, and policies around child welfare. How does this relate to crime and violence? Well, I'm glad you asked. When social services disrupted and interrupted our cultural way of disciplining our children with this hands-off, no-hitting children approach, we as parents lost the reins we once had of our children. There once was a cliche taken directly from the Bible: to spare the rod is to spoil the child. There are things happening in our culture that historically wouldn't happen. Respect in brown households was always rooted in the core values taught at home, easily transferred into real life and into society. Instilling the fear of God in children worked and produced emotionally stable, well-rounded children. I myself received what we call whooping as a child, and I stand before you grateful and proud that my mother gave me whooping. It made me who I am today. A kind, compassionate, loving, gentle, respectful, supportive, and responsible adult. All attributes needed in today's society and needs reflected in today's youth. This is the case if we don't let a few bad actors spoil it for the bunch. Yes, there are folks that would take things to the extreme, but you will always have that. It didn't mean that we all needed to be adjusted. If you truly want to fix this 20-year-old problem, it must be addressed at its root. I'm a mother of 6 with 6 children ranging in age from 32 to 6. And I currently have 2 teenage children, one 17-year-old male and one 14-year-old female. And although raising my 3 remaining minor children has been unconventional, to say the least, the recipe is still the same: balance and consistency. The balance between love and discipline, and being consistent with both.
Thank you. There being no further registered speakers, we will now take comments from those in the audience wishing to speak.
Good morning. My name is Javon F. Brown. I live at 715 Mercer Street, the high rise up at the top of Bedford, with 192 apartments. I went to county council last night, and I know, well, I hope that you had listened to 70.5 FM WESA radio station, because they were talking about what happened at county council. County council, you had a group that, I can't think of the name of it, but it's a group that is telling the president, Mr. Casina, and I'm sorry about pronouncing his name wrong, that he must step down. Now, as an activist, and I'm fighting for children, youth, family, hospital workers, seniors in Kaylee, wherever, and children, any poor person, because they don't get a chance to speak to you. I'm speaking to a lot of people, and I told Mr. Casina I will speak today. They say that they want him to step down, and I say no. I say no. I say yes, for Mr. Casina because of I've spoken at county council, and I saw him sit for 100 people, and then when he got finished, he says, "Is there anyone in the audience that we have overlooked?" Do you understand? When you just have 20 or 25, you just are talking to each other on the phone, you may get up and walk out and so on. But he sat all the way through, unlike DeWitt Watson, the blacks council, my county council. See, I'm coming down to tell you and everybody else. I've seen him also. When I went down, the president of council told me to go to county council. I went to county council and I brought up a problem. And he said, when I got finished, well, council or members, Mrs. Brown has come down with a concern. So what should we do? Should we write this letter to Port Authority singularly or write it all together? I write it as the president for the whole group. So then he said, "Oh, wait a minute, DeWitt, that's your area." And when he said, "Will you write the letter?" he said, "No." I mean, he screamed, "No, I will not. Can't nobody come down and tell me what that community need. I know what they need. They don't need a bus. They need security." Do you understand? That's what we elected. I told him. And then next week, but yes, for Casina, what to represent us. I'm serious. We have to have it.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Council of Selective Listening, Council of Comfortable Silence, Council of Convenient Blindness. I'm going to continue off from where I started yesterday. My name is Unique Brown, and the message our children is hearing is that some mothers are worth saving and some are just built to suffer. And that is heartbreaking to think. For a child to learn while watching their mother slowly break apart in front of them. Because what do children start believing about themselves when they constantly watch their black mothers beg for help and still get ignored? What does that teach them about their worth? I need this council to truly hear me today. When I say black mothers are exhausted and not just tired, not just I want to take a nap, but so tired, so exhausted. It's coming from every part of the city, every type of pain. The kind of tired that comes from carrying trauma, poverty, fear, racism, homelessness, and survival all at the same time, while still trying to hold your children together so they don't fall apart too. And what hurts most is that we keep asking for help before we break, but this city waits until people are drowning to finally look in their direction. The pain doesn't stop at housing. It doesn't stop at shelters. It follows us everywhere we go. I even tried to go to a therapy group because I wanted to heal. I wanted somewhere finally safe to speak about what I went through. But instead, I was told my trauma was too deep. And it was too much pain for the room. I was told they didn't want me talking about my racial discrimination because it might make the other girls uncomfortable. But I was the only black girl in the room. So the Commission of Human Relations has a case on them too. I see what matters. Like we have to fight the systems seriously just to be seen, heard, talked to, get help, anything. Like I tried to go to counseling and the therapist told me don't talk about it. Like that's Ridiculous. It's like, you're black. You didn't realize this was going to happen to you? Should it happen to us? Should it keep happening to us? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, the missing child, Cerise Taylor, Special Agent Sunshine. Lord, thank you for the truth, which is on fire, and it truly sets me free. Y'all ain't ready for it, but here it is. Thank you to I gotta breathe on this one. The judicial misconduct of I have to pause on it, y'all, because it's so. Oh, the judicial misconduct of a judge named. Oh, I can't find it. Amanda. Lord, where is that? Green. Miller. I think that's her last name. Judicial misconduct is abusing power. This judge knows about my identity theft fraud. This judge paid for the attempt of my murder. She lied under oath. Someone lied under oath. She allowed it. She knows about the gang stalking program, who stole my inheritance right here in Pittsburgh City Council. She knows everybody involved. There's a corrupt lawyer involved. She knows about him as well. She had the audacity to come yesterday to the Oakland Library facility, her and two other judges, Redsky and Greenhauser, I think that's her name, Greenhauser, and Amanda Greenhauser, Hawkins, whatever her name is. She talked about, to be a judge, you have to have humility. Really? Will you have humility when it's your turn to sleep in the snow and the rain? Will you have humility when you lose everything for not keeping your oath with the Most High God? You will not. In Jesus' name, Lord, thank you for leading me to the truth and using me as a vessel to do your will, not mine. Amen.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Are there any further speakers? Seeing none, we will move on to our standing committees agenda. First committee is the Finance and Law Committee, and we do have new papers.
Bill 448, Resolution amending Resolution Number 712 of 2025, entitled Resolution Authorizing the Mayor and the Director of the Department of Finance to submit a Keystone Recreation Park and Conservation Fund grant application to the Pennsylvania Office of Commonwealth Libraries for the replacement of the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning and roofing systems at the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh's Squirrel Hill branch, in an amount not to exceed $400,000 for this stated purpose, to accept the grant and authorize necessary expenditures.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Bill 448, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 449.
Resolution further amending Resolution Number 723 of 2022, effective December 27th, 2022, as amended, entitled Resolution adopting and approving the 2023 capital budget, the 2023 Community Development Program, and the 2023 through 2028 Capital Improvement Program by reducing park reconstruction by $143,966.12, reducing facility improvements, recreation, and senior centers by $82,175.66, and increasing facility improvements, sports facilities by $226,141.78.
Second.
Discussion? Councilmember Warwick.
Yeah, could we just have someone let us know where the money is coming from and what it's going to?
Good morning, Council. Dan Gilman, Chief of Staff for the Mayor. This is for Banksville Park in Council District 2, working with the councilwoman. This is to refinish the tennis courts and change them to pickleball courts and to refinish the basketball courts. And it is coming from capital projects that are completed and closed that had money left in the count. So no project is being cut. It's just cleaning out old accounts that were complete.
Okay, sounds good. Careful, watch out those tennis players.
Thank you.
Thanks, that's all.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Bill 449, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
That moves us to invoices. Is there a motion on invoices?
Motion approved. Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of invoices, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. That moves us to P cards. Is there a motion on P cards?
Motion to approve. Second.
Discussion? I do have one note. Our budget director, Walmsley, noted that there is, as you'll see, an $11,000, give or take, charge coming from the PLI department, and this is the quarter 1 2026 payment for code fees that PLI has required to pay the state and can only be paid by P card due to state rules. Any further discussion?
We have to waive any sort of rule.
We do need to waive the rules. Thank you.
Motion to waive the rules.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of waiving the rules to allow for an overage of $5,000? Please say aye.
Aye.
Rules are waived. Any further discussion on the P cards? Seeing none, all in favor of P cards, please say aye.
Aye.
P cards are approved. That moves us to Public Safety and Wellness Committee, chaired by Councilman Coghill.
New Papers Bill 439, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Safety to enter on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh into a professional services agreement or agreements with Leidos Security Detection and Automation, Inc. for equipment maintenance services for the city's X-ray security systems at an overall cost not to exceed $69,000 over 5 years.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Bill 439, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill, that moves us to Public Works and Infrastructure Committee, chaired by Councilwoman Salinetro.
New Papers Bill 445, resolution providing for a supplemental agreement or agreements with Tool Design LLC for costs associated with the Phase 2 of the West Pittsburgh Reach Neighborhood Mobility Plan and providing for the payment of costs thereof not to exceed $204,274, an increase of $100,000 from the previously executed agreement.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Bill 445, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 446.
Resolution providing for an amended reimbursement agreement or agreements with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the preliminary engineering, final design, and construction phases of the City Steps project and providing for the payment of costs thereof not to exceed $9,870,000, a net increase of $7,220,000 from the previously executed agreement, reimbursable at 80%. And the municipal share of Commonwealth incurred costs at a cost to the City of Pittsburgh not to exceed $46,000, a net increase of $20,000 from the previously executed agreement.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Bill 446, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. That moves us to Land Use and Economic Development Committee, chaired by Councilman Wilson.
New papers, Bill 451, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of City Planning to enter into an agreement or agreements with the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission for the purpose of receiving grant funds in the amount of $25,000 to conduct a City of Pittsburgh LGBTQ+ context statement.
Motion to approve. Discussion.
Second.
With
Is
discussion?
there anyone here to speak to the bill?
Good morning.
Morning.
You just state your name and
Sure. Kevin Kunak with the Department of City Planning.
Sharon Spooner, Department of City Planning.
just have a briefing on what this is.
Sure. So this started with the aftermath of the proposed nomination of Donnie's Place, where with comments by commissioners and at council that kind of recommended a kind of step back to look at the broader context. We pursued a grant with the state to do a context study. So typically, prior to having historic nominations submitted, for example, of a building, we would do architectural surveys and other context studies to kind of identify the history of place, history of persons, history of buildings within neighborhoods. In this case, it would be the city of Pittsburgh. That would begin to identify stories, places, and people that then would support a historic nomination. So I think what was identified with Donnie's Place is that, you know, the study never happened and there was a nomination submitted. So this is kind of going and starting at the beginning to see if there is context and a story here to celebrate in Pittsburgh.
Great. I like this. Thanks. I don't have any further questions.
Great.
Thank you. Councilmember Warwick.
Yeah, so just so I understand, this is a context study specifically around Donnie's Place or just about the community overall and history overall?
Overall, yeah, citywide.
Citywide, okay. Will this context study, I mean, will the LGBTQIA plus commission be engaged and, how are we going to ensure that there's like robust engagement around this? Because I wouldn't want to do a study and then have folks feel like they were not included in the study.
There will be a robust community engagement portion of this project. That is a great suggestion for the commission. I think we would definitely look to engage them as well as different community groups citywide on this. And interviews as well will be a big part of the research done as part of this context study.
Okay, so please reach out to Corey Buckner. He runs that committee, and there's other, and other groups as well. I think maybe the committee is a good place to start, and then that will sort of figure out who all needs to be engaged. That's a good starting point, though.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
Yeah, and this grant supports an RFP for a consultant, so having the commission or Mr. Buckner on the selection could work.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Further discussion?
Councilwoman, it's Councilwoman Gross online.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Again, I'm just following up on Councilwoman Warwick's comments. I think, Councilwoman, you were talking about the LGBTQIA Commission. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't know if you were talking about a different, because you were saying, I think, committee. So I wanted to make sure that I asked if this project started as a recommendation from the commission. Like, what has been the conversation with the commission before today?
So far, I think it's very early in the process, so we haven't reached out beyond what we heard at council and at Historic Review Commission about what the approach should be. So I think that will be very much the next step is engagement.
I'm disappointed that there hasn't already been conversation. We have these citizen commissions for a reason, right? To inform policy and priorities and even methods. So I would feel better if you would let council know that you've talked to the commission before you write an RFP. So you're asking us here today to kind of allow for the work to continue, but I don't feel good that the work has not already included our LGBTQIA commission. Am I understanding this correctly?
Councilmember, we have a letter of support from the commission when we submitted for the grant.
And the letter, so you got a letter of support. Have you actually proactively kind of worked on what the scope would be in forming the RFP?
The RFP, not an RFP, but the grant application included broad outlines of an RFP, but we have not started the RFP yet. We typically would wait until we have council approval.
Was the broad outline informed by your conversations with the commission?
We reached out to the commission for a letter of support with the broad outlines of the grant, but I can't answer if they reviewed the grant prior to submitting it.
I'll reach out to the commission myself, I think. Thank you. So I can better understand kind of their thoughts. Of course, this is exciting work. I would encourage members of the public and council members, if you missed it, to watch both the public comment and the public hearing around Donnie's Place, because there were so many amazing parts of oral history shared around the moment in the 80s, especially, I think, when there was alignment amongst actual physical bars and restaurants that were allied in the LGBTQIA community. And the stories are rich and wonderful and definitely worth saving. There's already been some oral historians who have captured some of it. We know that the records from Donnie's were also, I think, going to be archived at the Western Pennsylvania Historical Association. I would love to see parts of this work also somehow indexed or cataloged by city records as well. So I would be interested in hearing more about that. Of course, it's exciting work. I just want to make sure that it's inclusive from the beginning. So I applaud you, but also I'll be looking forward to hearing that kind of acknowledgement and input from, as Councilwoman works, at a variety of stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 451, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you.
That moves us to Innovation, Performance, Asset Management, and Technology Committee, chaired by Councilwoman Cruz.
Supplemental new papers, Bill 472. Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Innovation and Performance to enter into, on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh, a data sharing agreement or agreements and amendments thereto with Johns Hopkins University as part of the Data Science for Social Good program at no cost to the city over 3 years.
Motion to approve. Discussion.
Second.
Second with discussion, Councilwoman Gross.
Yes, thank you. Can we have our colleagues at IMP join us at the table? We had a briefing yesterday. Thank you. I see you all there. As a reminder, we had this was a new paper yesterday, Tuesday, and it was related for today's agenda. And I just wanted council members to have a chance to hear from our colleagues. So you all can introduce yourselves and give us a brief overview.
Sylvia Harris, Acting Director, Department of Innovation and Performance.
Good morning, Chris Belasco, Chief Data Officer, Department of Innovation and Performance.
Good morning, Neil Gerbach, Assistant Director of PLI Systems Operations. Good morning, Ben Forstate, Special Projects Manager, Mayor's Office.
So you're going to give us a brief overview first, and then I'll add some questions.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Councilwoman. So we were approached by some colleagues of ours who work through Carnegie Mellon University, but this summer they're doing a special program through Johns Hopkins University. And so that program is being hosted through an organization that's pretty familiar to us because they offer us a lot of training and capacity support to do data projects. That organization is called Johns Hopkins GovX, and they help us do kind of best practices associated with our data practices. So this summer, they're hosting our colleague from Carnegie Mellon to do some special projects, and they reached out to us last week and said, "Hey, would you be interested in kind of proposing this kind of summer project with us related to permit data?" As you know, the Mayor's Office is really interested in trying to help smooth the permit process, the application process, make sure that applicants have what they need. And so we looked at this opportunity as as sort of a new opportunity that we weren't, this is why we're asking to waive relate, because it was like, pretty quick notice to join in their cohort. And so we wanted to get the contracting, signing and the approval process moving and reach out to council as soon as we had heard about the opportunity. Now, the data that they're looking to work with us on is data that we publish on a regular basis via One Stop PGH Insights on the web already. We would actually take steps that we don't even take for that because it's public data, to take the names off of that data so that it would be usable in a university setting. So we would de-identify the data. And so we were working on this agreement, a template document to say this is the data that we would like to share, to get some summer student fellowship support to help us work with the Mayor's Office to analyze data to improve the permitting process.
Thank you. So my colleagues will recall, of course, that we have been working with IMP on the resolution that we passed on protecting privacy. And so we know that the IMP is going to be vigilant with this data. But I also want to acknowledge that so many of my colleagues, including myself, have asked about PLI, especially in their business permitting, and wanting it to not only be faster, but I think more equal and equitable. So I have had concerns over the years from many of the small businesses that I represent in my district. And so one of my first questions was that, are we going to have the opportunity this summer with this data to make sure that we aren't being unfair to some of the smaller businesses? In my district, I have a very large share, probably the largest across the city, of women-owned businesses. And they very often have told me about their difficulties with PLI and felt that maybe they were being treated unfairly. And so I would love to see here, again, a gendered lens to make sure that we're not disadvantaging through our own processes and procedures some businesses over others. And certainly many of us have main streets where we're trying to make sure that small businesses succeed. And it's difficult to open a business in the best of circumstances. And so we definitely don't want to be the problem that prevents businesses from being opened or staying opened. And so we should be doing, I think, some demographic and neighborhood comparisons. I also called out, my colleagues will recall that when we were in Harrisburg, my main ask in Harrisburg was for programs to support childcare businesses, because that is a policy initiative that we've been working on at the city and at council for many years now. We know that it's still a problem across incomes, across neighborhoods for all Pittsburgh families. And so we may have the opportunity here. So I don't know if anyone at the table wants to respond with some thoughts since we spoke yesterday.
Sure, I can. I think to your point, council member, that equity is at the heart of this process. I mean, permitting is a process that the city controls for the most part from start to finish, and we should make it as easy as possible for people to do the right thing. And some of the burdens of this process fall the hardest on people who don't have the means to navigate the system. And that's what this is all about, is taking the time with a group of people who are focused on this to understand the data in the city and to understand where these impacts fall. I think some of the preliminary analysis we've done shows that for comparable projects like a single family home, it takes a week longer for folks in low income communities to even begin to submit a permit. So we have to understand that data and then begin to think about, like, how do we begin to address this in a way that is equitable? Because, we want people to be able to open businesses. We want more childcare to be available in the city, and permitting is a huge portion of that.
Yeah, and just to add to that a little bit, as Ben stated, we're just starting to look at some demographic data at PLI. That's admittedly something that we haven't done previously. So hopefully that this partnership will allow us to really enhance and understand who's applying, not just like what type of business, but simple demographic information as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? It's a little hard to see when I'm looking at you on a tiny screen. So I'll leave it there, Madam Chair, in case other members have questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments, questions? I have a question. Maybe there's a definition for de-identify, but I see that it's going to be de-identified. Can you just define that for the purposes of this legislation?
Yeah, sure, and thank you. So we're going to strip the names out of the records, the rows of the records, to make it so that you couldn't tell who had submitted it. We will still have a unique identifier for the row, so that'll be like plenty for our colleagues over at Johns Hopkins to be able to identify tracing a permit all the way through, but that information is sufficient to do that work, and it minimizes the amount of identifying information that's being made available.
So removing the name, is there any way that this could be traced back to an individual? And I guess, are there measures that are being taken to require that those handling, manipulating the data, must keep it confidential, et cetera, et cetera? What are the measures that are being taken?
Yeah, so those measures begin with the contract, which is, what brings us here today, right? And then, you as a person who produces data can take measures to be proactive by restricting what they have access to, right? We call that data minimization. In this case, that's where we're redacting the names from the data, okay. Right? So we are doing that. I would also leave it to PLI to share which pieces of data are already public. Like there are many things that are already actually public record that are being shared. We're just taking these additional steps, both because they were requested in the contract by Johns Hopkins, but because they want to be able to work with this data with us, and so it's a good thing to do. So
thank you.
Just about all of our data is open to the public, as Chris mentioned, but when Chris talks about a unique identifier, I believe he's not talking about the permit number, which is a unique identifier that we're currently using. It would be masked, so it would be untraceable to our open records currently.
Great, thank you. That's helpful. Okay.
I'll remind the councilwoman also that we have a post-agenda to be scheduled on these issues of data privacy and surveillance that I motioned for a few weeks ago. And so if any council members have any further questions, either about what IMP does or other best practices, those are the topics that we're going to be addressing in the post-agenda coming up.
Thank you. Looking forward to that. Councilmember Warwick.
Is there a way in this study that we're ensuring, that the grant is used to study, as you mentioned, I think, once we talked about, you were saying there was like a daycare or something that almost wasn't able to open because they're permitting. I don't know if you want to.
I think we've heard stories of folks who are getting into the process and investing money in businesses and possibly aren't able to open by the end of it because they don't understand how to go through it, or they're making decisions in the moment. We have to be able, as a city, to provide people the information they need to do the right thing, to get into the process. And this is happening across neighborhoods, right? That as we've gone, as I've dived into permitting for the mayor's office, this is what has come up on multiple occasions, is people want to do the right thing. They sometimes don't know the information they need to know, and we have to be able to understand like which of these projects are having the most difficulty, which of these are the most complicated, and how do we as a city do the best we can to give them the information up front before they start investing. And childcare is one of the businesses that are types of businesses that are very complicated to open, require lots of different types of permits, and is a huge driver of why people want to choose to live in the city and invest here.
Yeah, so as we do, I mean, will there be some kind of safeguard around the data that we're working with to ensure that as far as projects go, that's what we're focusing on and not like issues with sort of, large scale apartment buildings that have like 400, I mean, not to say that that's not important, right? But if this doesn't feel like that's the intention of this grant.
No, I don't think so. I mean, really, again, like the majority of the projects that are like coming into the system are from like individuals or small businesses, and like those are the people who maybe are dealing with permitting for the first time, and like really that is who this is for. Like if those folks are able to like access a system easier to do the right thing to make sure that their homes and businesses are safe and up to code, then like anything we do for those folks will like help larger businesses, but they have lawyers, they have other means to get through the system.
Right. And then another thing, so that I'm curious about, because again, totally anecdotal, but in working with PLI on various issues for small businesses, from time to time, it will come up with they'll be like, oh, they're working with that contractor. And that contractor is like sort of notorious. I mean, much of the time, right, it's your contractor is supposed to be able to know how to do this stuff, right? And then the contractor is not doing what they're supposed to do on the PLI end. And so I wonder if, while maintaining the data privacy of the applicant, if there would be a way to also look at that to see if there's, you see what I'm saying? Like if there are contractors who are like chronically getting hired by a small business and then they're just like dropping the ball and causing all this time delay.
This is something I've thought about as well, and I think it's like a secondary step to understanding like which types of projects encounter the most difficulty, and then like moving backwards to begin to think about like, all right, how do we put in place, safeguards? I don't think it'll be part of this program. This is more about like understanding like the vast thousands of different categories of projects and how they flow through the system.
Okay.
And then stepping back to say, all right, what other steps that can we take as a city to make sure that this is equitable and that people are getting the right advice to do the right things.
And there may be opportunities, since we do data analytics and we are practicing it with our colleagues here already, that if that's not something that's appropriate to be able to answer once we've de-identified the data that we share, like that we could follow up with it internally, where we warehouse the data and we keep the data secure, and it still contains the identifiers, and we could follow up with, particular challenges from there, because it does become an interesting question.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I wonder too, just with the overall process, I mean, even taking individual contractors out, like if one of the sticking points in the process is that, because I've heard this many times where a constituent will call and be like, I haven't, you know what I mean? Like I'm waiting and it's behind and PLI and they've had it forever. And then I contact PLI and they're like, yeah, we just got it back from the so the contractor is is blaming us, right? And if there's a way to, well, if that's pervasive, if we can see that in the process, and then if that is something that we can address proactively.
I mean, that is kind of one of the things we're looking at now with the types of data that the city provides. Days with the city, how long a permit is with our reviewing departments versus days with applicants, to begin to say, we can control the days with the city. We need to speed those up and then figure out ways to better alert the folks who are applying that, hey, this is with you now.
Right.
You need to make the corrections that we're asking you to make so we can, get this through the system.
Yeah.
And with our open data, we do display our workflow and what stage within OneStop Insights, what stage each permit is at. I think we could do a little bit of a better job of making it clear if it's internal with the city or if it's like on the applicant or the license holder. But one separate initiative that we're working on as part of the mayor's executive order for permitting reform is what we're calling a pizza tracker, internally at least, which is going to be accessible to anyone that logs into OneStop PGH, and it basically shows all the steps needed on the permit and where you are generally. So hopefully through our open data and through OneStop PGH, we can make things a little bit more clear about you're not just on this step, you're on this step, and here's the entire environment that you have to get through.
And then also starting to understand how long it takes any given type of permit to get through the process, so we can begin to tell people up front, this should take about 4 weeks, for the average project of this type. And I mean, Neil and Chris have been great to work with on this to like both prep data and then begin to work on how to implement these things.
And I think finally, one thing that Chris's team is currently working on from an analysis standpoint is identifying when permits are going off the rails and maybe potentially have the ability to reach out when that is happening.
Yeah, I mean, that begins with knowing, how permits go through the process and the frequency with which they go to the different touch points and stages of review. And that's kind of the current analysis. And our objective is to try to figure out how to know in an anticipatory fashion when those problems would emerge so that we can help create that communication structure on it. There's a wealth of information in the system. We have tons and tons of observations. What can we do to help make it possible from a data framework to know when these things are going to happen and help these applicants, particularly these applicants who don't have a ton of experience, to be able to get data out of, or be able to get their permits through the system.
Sounds good. I love a pizza tracker. I use it. A free permit if your permit takes too long. Your next permit is free.
Thank you. Councilperson Charlin.
Yes, thank you for being here. So this is a contract for 3 years. I'm curious at what point, kind of in the pizza tracker of 3 years, where what deliverables can we expect in those 3 years? Is it for the whole 3 years? On year 3, we will have a brand new system, or what I'm imagining is at certain points there's going to be certain things that are going to come to us that are things that we've learned throughout there. How can we expect to see a calendar of updates?
Yeah, I might need to manage a little bit of expectations here. So Hopkins isn't going, Hopkins team members that are going to help us this summer are not going to, help deliver an entire system, through this work, right? They're going to help provide data analysis that will extend the capacity of our existing team's data analysis in directions that we kind of mutually determine based on the data that we can make available with, accepting some of the limitations that we're going to impose on the data through the summer. And so, we're permitting them to use the data for follow-on, work after that for up to 3 years.
Gotcha.
Our primary engagement with them will probably be over sometime in August, but
Gotcha.
It's stuff that we don't like. Would we like to have more resources to look at this? And the answer is like, please,
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more limited, but I think that we would expect an analysis and presentation as we kind of settle on a scope, right? And it would be nice to be able to make that available more broadly afterward. And I think that kind of given the players involved, I think that they would trumpet it too. So those are some things that we will alert them to as we kind of settle in on this. So.
And I think we can give a little bit more specifics around, this is really going to focus on the intake process, mapping out like how permits currently flow through the system, and then like understanding some of the like demographics and some of the challenges the city faces, which groups are having the most difficulty. I think that is like a way to narrow the scope for this over the summer. And also, getting permits in the system is the first battle. Everything then flows down from there. So that's why we're focused on that.
I kind of think of like, I guess we're using kind of silly analogies that everybody understands, but like when you buy something on Amazon and it says like this item is often returned, I'm thinking of like a flag for you're applying for a roof permit and like this permit will often be returned or something like that. Where
that's very much what we're working on right now.
Okay.
Which specific types of permits cause the most issues?
Yeah.
And how can we give people the information up front to let them know what they're about to, get done?
And one of the things like I think I come across a lot, the way that I think of it is that we hear kind of these crazy anecdotes of like this person applied for this permit and that, I don't know, however it works out that like this is the wildest story that ever happened. And that might happen, but that happens very infrequently. The more common story is like, the thousands of basic permits that are applied for that end up having like, a small problem with them, as opposed to like the one story of this person that tried to put a fence on and how crazy that was. Like, so the anecdotes aren't as valuable as the data. The anecdotes sometimes can make for really good stories and reporters love to write about them. But, it's kind of like when I see the enforcement issues on PLI, we love to send the attorney when it's the crazy case, the guy that owns property and, out of the country. But the just general overgrown grass issue that we see, we don't send the attorney for that, and we don't actually do a good job following up with that. We don't actually enforce that very well, and that's way more common than the case of like my St. Henry's Church, which is the most complicated PLI case to be told. We really need the focus on the big data, on the big problems, the more likely scenarios there. So I'm thankful that you guys are doing this, and I'm really interested to see what the final results are. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 472, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
New papers.
Bill 440, Resolution amending Resolution 345 of 2025, which authorized a contract renewal with Una Solutions, Inc. to provide a subscription-based budgeting and performance management system by extending the term for 3 years and increasing the approved amount by $286,739.58 for a new total cost not to exceed $785,864.58 over 9 years.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion.
Councilmember Sharlin.
Yes. Is someone here to talk about this? Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. My name is Rhea Price. I am the current acting director of the Office of Management and Budget.
Elizabeth Sircone, Assistant Director of Operating and Special Revenue.
David Hutchinson, Assistant Director for Capital and Asset Management.
So I'm going to start real simple. What does this software do?
It's our budgeting system, essentially. So it's where, it looks like you have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we have our ERP system, which is our financial system. And aside from that, we have our budgeting system, and this is where all of our budgeting system is held. So both our operating budget and our capital budgets are in this software. If you heard of the term Questica, that's what it refers to.
Oh, so this is the Questica. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Una bought Questica.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is just one of those things. I think it's really helpful for us because we don't deal with these softwares on a daily basis. It's helpful for us to understand which ones we're actually using. This is an important one.
This is critical.
Okay.
Yes.
With the ERP, is this something that could be assumed into the new ERP?
We will be looking at that. Yes.
Okay.
So, but
But
we
for
won't
now.
have a new ERP system for like several more years. So we definitely need something in the meantime.
Okay. That's really all that I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Bill 440, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 441.
Resolution amending Resolution 682 of 2022, which authorized the mayor and the director of the Office of Management and Budget to enter into an agreement or agreements with Healthy Outcomes, Inc., now Policy Confluence, Inc., doing business as Balancing Act, for a suite of online tools to educate and engage citizens on budget priorities by extending the term for 1 year for an additional $13,000 for a new total not to exceed of $52,000 over 4 years.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second, discussion? Can someone explain what this, the purpose of this is?
I'll let Dave handle that. Okay.
Yeah, this is a suite of public-facing tools that we've used since kind of the late Peduto administration to help the public better understand the budgets. One is, there's actually 4 tools that we use. One's a tax receipt tool that allows residents to put in their annual income, estimated value of their property, and get back almost an itemized list for each department and each project type of kind of where their specific dollars are going within the 2 city budgets. Additionally, we do budget simulations. We do an operating budget simulation and a capital budget simulation. Those are both to the dollar representations of the actual budgets, but they're in a much more friendly environment for residents to be able to move funds around, to add revenue sources, to subtract taxes if they wanted to, and to add new projects as well. With those, they can find out more detail about the individual capital projects and departments themselves, and also provide some feedback in the notes section if they want to. There's one of those for capital, one of those for operating. And then the 4th tool that we use is called Prioritize, and it's something that we use for more specific audiences. We used it at the Readiness Institute last year. It's kind of a smaller sandbox of $1 million with a bunch of options that obviously exceed $1 million for the participants in the meeting to choose from. So they're kind of faced with the same difficult decisions that we face with trying to choose how to spend the limited dollars that we have. And in all 4 tools, we try to make sure that they're seeing the actual representations of the budgets as best they can. So even in the 4th one, the Prioritize tool, we're trying to use estimates for how much projects actually cost. So they're truly deciding, do I want to reopen a pool for a summer, or do I want to do some traffic calming?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I thought that was the case. I wanted to make sure. They're very cool tools. I've explored all of them. I hope others have, as members of the public have, if they're interested in this work. That being said, how confident are we that we're getting the most out of this? That we have enough people who are interested in using it, it's worth. I know it's not a whole lot of money per year, but in our tight financial times, that the $52,000 over 4 years, that we're getting the bang for the buck that we want, versus another way of demonstrating the same information. The second part of the question is, and I don't know if this is still the case. You'll remember when we worked with some really talented Carnegie Mellon students who put together sort of some recommendations for a budget tweaks to make it more malleable over time, accessible to the public, et cetera, et cetera. And at the time, the controller's office had not an identical tool, but their own tool to be able to, explore and manipulate the budget in their own way. Also want to make sure we're not being duplicative, especially since it costs money.
Yeah, those are fair questions. The first one is a big value judgment. I can say the efficacy of the tool varies with how much of a push it gets in terms of promotion.
Yeah.
So currently the 3 public-facing tools all sit on our Engage PGH page. We've obviously had communications and meetings planning this upcoming series of public meetings for the budget, which are happening in late May and early June. With community affairs, and they're pretty excited about the digital tools and trying to figure out the best places to implement those as well. I've not been on the controllers tool in a while. I don't know if it's a fiscal watchdog tool or which one it is. I've been in that part of the website in a minute, but I'll check it out.
In the past, have we used these for the capital, and then I think we started some operating budget forums? Like, have we used these and sort of had a laptop and said, hey, like, come and explore this yourself, and really promoted it at those? I know we've had up and down attendance at those types of events, and I know that it's all of us working to try to promote them and try to get more people interested in some of these questions. But that's something that is utilized in those forums and maybe outside of those forums as well.
We've promoted them, especially at the end of meetings, to show additional ways that people can engage.
Okay.
We brought them up on the screen, showed how
Okay.
you can kind of move the faders around.
Yeah.
Showed how you can submit feedback and things like that.
I mean, as we speak, I'm crafting an email to someone who just said, can we set up a meeting to, a forum, a town hall to discuss how we spend money? And I said, hey, there's these forums coming up and also these tools. So I do find it helpful. It's not maybe an everyday ask, but I do find it helpful. I was just trying to get a sense from you all how you use it and how it's been helpful to you.
I just want to add that we are in the very initial stages of talking to IMP and seeing if we have the capabilities of replicating those tools in-house, so that we don't have to spend that money every year. So, and that's why we're only asking for a 1-year extension.
1-year extension.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful. Councilmember Warwick.
I remember, I don't know if it was 2 years ago or so, there was one of these budget forums, right? And it was really well attended. And they did an exercise at the forum where everybody got on their phone and was able to do this, like, choose. And it was great because it showed, right, like you got the results then of all the people that were in the room. Is that the same tool?
Yes, yeah, we've gotten live results before at the end of meetings, the way you're describing, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I feel like promotion-wise, I will say this administration has, I mean, their comms team is very good. So this, if there's a way to loop them in on, I don't know, video with the mayor, there's just been some really good comms, like, around different things. So this could be something for that. Yeah.
Further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 441, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 442.
Resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant payable in favor of Unis Solutions, Inc. for a 1-year subscription in an amount not to exceed $19,980.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Bill 442, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Thank you all very much. That moves us to Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs Committee, chaired by Councilman Mosley.
Deferred papers, Bill 224, resolution authorizing the mayor, the director of public works, and the director of finance to enter into an easement agreement or agreements with the Allegheny County Sanitary Authority for the installation of certain monitoring boreholes on city-owned parcel IDs 121H20, 82H102, and 48H200 at no cost to the city.
Motion to hold for 6 weeks.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Bill 224, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. All in favor, my apologies. The motion was a 6-week hold. All in favor of a 6-week hold, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Bill will be held for 6 weeks. 385.
Resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 3634 Penn Avenue at no cost to the city.
Motion to hold for 1 week.
Second.
I'm sorry. Which one are we on?
385.
385. I'm sorry. I thought we were on 412.
Is that the Penn Avenue one, Councilman?
Yes.
Actually, I would appreciate a 1-week hold. I've still not gotten the developer to talk to the planning department, which they really need to do. I've got another call coming up. I'm going to have to jump off to try to chase them down. So.
All right. Thank you for the update, Councilwoman. Yeah, in deference to the Councilwoman, 1 week hold on 385.
Second.
Second. Discussion? All in favor of a 1-week hold for Bill 385, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative. Bill be held. Bill 412.
Resolution authorizing the Pittsburgh Land Bank to acquire all the city's right, title, and interest, if any, in and to the publicly owned properties in the 12th Ward of the City of Pittsburgh, designated in the Deed Registry Office of Allegheny County as Block 125A, lots 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 133, 0 Lincoln Avenue, and 0 Mayflower Street, Council District 9, at no cost to the city.
Motion to hold for 1 week.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of a one-week hold for Bill 412, please say aye.
Aye.
Bill will be held. New papers, Bill 443.
Resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 7606 to 7610 Tioga Street, Pittsburgh 15208, at no cost to the city.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Bill 443, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation, Bill 444.
Resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 2695 Winchester Drive, Pittsburgh 15220, at no cost to the city.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Bill 444, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. That exhausts our standing committee's agenda. We do have meeting announcements. Next week, due to primary elections, council will hold its regular meeting and standing committee meeting on Monday, May 18th at 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. respectively. To register to speak at these meetings, please fill out the sign-up form on the council meeting webpage by the deadlines, and you may also call the clerk's office at 412-255-2138. Is there anything from members? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes and adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.